Over the past few years, a village at the end of Val Lumnezia, or Valley of Light, has transformed itself into an architectural wonder. The village is called Vrin and has become a magnet for architecture enthusiasts from all over the world. Vrin shows how a village can be preserved and developed without destroying traditional structures. It wants to secure its future as a place to live and work, and has taken some unusual steps to achieve this.
I know practically every square inch of Vrin, and I know everyone who lives here. It's good to live in a place where people care about each other.
I'm proud to say I'm from Vrin. I'm proud of my roots.
Two caminadas, uncle and nephew. Two caminadas with a single shared passion for architecture and for Vrin. Marco Caminada studies architecture in Basel. John Caminada is an architect in Vrin, or rather, the architect in Vrin.
If you move away and return years later, you appreciate the village much more than if you'd never left. For me, there's no one special place or building that stands out from the rest. I like the village just as it is, just as it has developed these past few years.
Back in the 80s, Vrin was in crisis. There had been no new building for decades. Year after year, the population dwindled. The farmland was split up into tiny plots. Then came the rescue attempt. A wise decision to merge properties gave Vrin a new lease of life. Farmers, agronomists, planners and architects put their heads together. The survival of the community was at stake. And in the vanguard was local architect John Caminada.
What counts in architecture is the idea. But an idea is more than just an individual opinion. What counts is that as many people as possible stand to gain from it. That's the concept of Vrin.
It has become a hallmark of Vrin. John Caminada does not simply copy the old forms, he takes them a stage further. Take the new traditional log house, for example, which he used in his quest for new structures and design options. The village doesn't sprawl. Caminada places his faith in densely built-up areas and a clearly defined new building zone.
Die später sei wurde auch Grundes, den ton diskussion ai da lanciata Gronda.
There were no quarrels as such, but there was a lot of heated debate at first. We were not used to Caminada's architecture. His ideas and visions were also new to us. So we went off and did the research, talked some more, and in the end felt very positive about it. If you look at other villages, you sometimes see new estates with 10 different houses by 10 different architects, each built according to a different model. That looks terrible.
Another speciality of Vrin is that everything here is built out of local materials. The wood and stone are prepared locally so that the work and earnings stay in the village.
Gianantoni Caminada's special style of building brought us to the attention of other architects too, so that now we work for them as well. Thanks to this work, we were able to expand our business. A few years ago, there were only 5 or 6 of us. Now we are 10.
But the Vrin project has done more than just stimulate the local building industry. The idea of using local products attracted new businesses to the village. Since 1999, Vrin has had its own butcher's shop. The farmers came up with the idea. Caminada provided the building. In the year 2000, the people of Vrin decided to end the practice of laying out their dead at home. Instead of a mortuary, Caminada proposed a parlour for laying out the dead prior to burial.
The church in Vrin looks nothing like an outhouse or a cowshed. There's a hierarchy of forms. The parlour is a building which is neither sacred nor profane. It's another pearl in the hierarchical chain.
If you're confronted with death, if it's a family member or a friend who's laid out in the parlour, then you don't feel out of place there at all, but actually feel completely at home.
For me, a place of mourning is neither sacred nor profane. It shouldn't be at the cemetery. It's much closer to everyday life. It's basically a halfway station between death and burial.
The concept behind Vrin's funeral parlour rests on the architect's close observation of how we take leave, how we grieve, and how we mourn. It's structured much like a private home. The parlour itself is a place for the deceased. The hall is a place for meeting people. The kitchen is a place to which family and friends can retire.
Some locals were quite critical at first. The funeral parlour was something new, which they didn't understand. But now that they've seen the service it provides for the community, they appreciate it much more.
Disentis is not Vrin, but the town, with its famous monastery, has profited enormously from the experience of the little village in the Lumnezia. When the monastery stables on the plain of Salaplauna burned down, Caminada developed the concept for the new farm to replace them.
Every place is different and has its own peculiarities. A place cannot be transplanted, but a mindset can. For me, Vrin was a laboratory. It was in Vrin that I worked on my approach, that I gained experience not just of architecture, but of social and economic factors as well. I can now use this experience in other places too, such as here in Salaplauna.
The basic idea was the same as in Vrin. Good architecture placed at the service of those who live and work in the mountains. The monastery stables are a place where visitors can learn something new as well. A shop and a dairy are also planned. After years of stability and growth, Vrin is now battling with falling population figures once again. planning for the future of the village remains a challenge.
Right now, I don't know whether I'll be able to return here one day, or whether there'll be work for me if I do.
The ever-dwindling population will remain our greatest challenge. There are various options for the future. The rivers could be used to generate hydroelectric power, and there's also the idea of a nature park. The third option would be a merger with other villages nearby. I myself hope that Vrin will be able to continue along its own path in future.